Welcome to the Autauga Football Review with Coach Bobby Carr. Coach, we had Graceville this past week. It was homecoming. Got the victory. How was the game?
Thought it went well. You know, every coach is worried about distractions, and when you have homecoming, especially with a talented opponent like Graceville. But thought our kids came out with some fire in them, and we executed really well on offense. Made some big plays. Had a block punt return for a touchdown by Kendrick Rogers, and that really set the tone. And we were able to enjoy the rest of the game and the night, homecoming festivities and so forth.
Awesome. We had an offensive player of the week. We gave it to the whole offensive line. How did they play as a unit? I know they're getting better and better every week. So how did they do just throughout the game, knowing they had a couple athletes they had to kind of go up against with Graceville?
I thought they did well. My challenge is to our O-line every week is to make sure your quarterback's jersey is clean at the end of the night. And I thought they did a good job. Tripp had a lot of time to throw the ball. And that was the biggest question mark for us going into the season was the offensive line. We lost 5 really good offensive linemen last year at graduation. And so all these guys, it was the first time they'd all played together as one. But they've continued to get better week in and week out. And, I think we still got some work to do as far as the mental side goes. We're still making a few mental mistakes. But for the most part, I think we're continuing to get better. And last week, I thought Tripp had, like I said, plenty of time to throw the football. And then we they did a pretty good job of run blocking as well for Darion Ashley and our other backs.
We'll have Kendall House and Juicy to represent our offensive line for the Offensive Player of the Week. Welcome to the Autauga Football Review Offensive Player of the Week. We have our offensive linemen here. We have Kendall House and we have Darius Tolliver. They're representing our offensive line, our 2 seniors on the offensive line. Kendall, how are we doing as a unit this year?
I think we're doing pretty good. At the start of the year, we were a little inexperienced, but we're getting better and we're going pretty good. What
are some things that we need to work on just to kind of keep getting better toward the later part of this year?
We really need to work on run blocking. We've been all right at it, but we need to get better at it. Down blocking and all that good stuff.
Good deal. Juicy, what does it mean to be an offensive lineman? Like, what pride do you take in protecting the quarterback?
Man, we say it like this: to be an O-lineman, I think it's pretty important because without O-lineman, I don't think football will be able to happen.
Protecting a quarterback that runs like Tripp, how difficult? And I guess we can have both of you talk and answer this one. Juicy, you'll go first. How important is it, or how tough is it to protect somebody that scrambles around all over the place and not knowing where he's going to be?
It's pretty hard because you never know where he's going and which way to block your man that you're supposed to block.
Kendall, what do you think about that? Protecting Tripp, just scrambling around everywhere, and you never know where he's going to end up.
Yeah, it's sometimes hard, but most of the time he makes a good play, so it's not that big of a deal.
We have Lakeside coming up this week. Watch a little film. What do you think about them? What are some things that we need to improve on going into this region game?
We need to improve on running the ball better. We've been throwing the ball a lot, but I think we can improve on our run game.
Juicy, we have a couple of region games coming up. We have Lakeside this week, Evangel next week. What would you like to see as a unit, as an offensive line, get better at?
No mess-ups, no mental mistakes. We've been making a lot of those this year. And just to make sure our guards get the pulls right and make sure the tackles get our kick-out blocks and down blocks right.
Awesome. Well, good luck this week, guys. Let's get this win. This is the Autauga Football Review Offensive Line Player of the Week. Welcome back. That was Offensive Player of the Week with Kendall House and Juicy Tolliver. Coach, then we go to defense. Tough task. They had 2 really good athletes, a good quarterback, good running back. How did the defense play as a whole?
Yeah, Graceville had as much skill as we've seen and that we'll probably see all year. But I thought our defense played extremely well, made plays when they had to. I think the touchdown they scored 1 touchdown on our starters, but then the other touchdown they got was late on our backup. So I thought as a whole our defense played well. As
a unit, I know we're kind of struggling a little bit in the back end. What are some things we probably need to work on? Just coming in, we got 3 region games coming up, just to kind of get better and go to that ending stretch of the season.
Yeah, well, we've had to replace our entire secondary from last year, so we knew that'd be a question mark as well. But we're continuing to get better. We're going to be fine back there. The thing is that we're really strong on the front end. Our defensive front is really, really good. So that helps whoever we're playing. They're not going to have a whole lot of time to throw the football, and that also helps our secondary guys out in their coverages.
Absolutely. Coach, Josh Kelsey was our Defensive Player of the Week. He's a new kid, first year here, senior, linebacker. Talk about Josh for a second.
Oh, man, he's been a pleasant surprise, leading our team in tackles, and he came over here as a baseball player, and I'm not so sure he's not focused on the wrong sport, because he's a pretty good football player, but he's always around the football. He's plays with a great motor. We're actually trying to work some plays and some formations and some situations in with him on offense, because he's such a tremendous athlete, and maybe he can help us on that side of the ball some too. So really, really pleased with his efforts up to this point.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at Josh Kelsey, Defensive Player of the Week. Welcome to the Autauga Football Review Defensive Player of the Week. We have Josh Kelsey. How you doing, Josh?
Pretty good.
Josh, we played Graceville this past week. How'd the game go?
I think it went pretty well. The defense was pretty stout, and we held them to as little points as possible.
What is it like playing at Autauga? I know this is your first year. You hadn't played football in a long time, senior year. What is it like playing football at Autauga?
I think it's pretty fun, and I get to know everybody as soon as I came in, and they treat me like family.
Talking about the game again, how did we play as a unit? I mean, did we get the calls right? Did everything get lined up properly? Just how are we playing right now as a unit for this far in the season?
I think the defensive unit this far in the season is probably the best, all around, and we're all communicating together and doing pretty good.
What are some things we need to work on to kind of get better to go for that goal, to kind of finish that season off? We got 4 more games left, the regular season, and then we got playoffs. What do we need to work on leading up into the playoffs?
Probably need to work on secondary and getting in our pass drops, and our D-line's doing pretty good. So,
watching Lakeside, we got them coming up. What do you think about them? How do you think the game's going to go Friday night?
I think we're going to get the dub.
Get the dub. This is Josh Kelsey, Defensive Player of the Week. All right, welcome back to the Autauga Football Review with Coach Bobby Carr. Coach, that was Josh Kelsey, Defensive Player of the Week. Now let's move on to our next opponent, which is Lakeside Academy out of Eufaula, another region game. Talk about them just for a little bit.
Well, they're having a good year. Got a new coach, and he's doing a tremendous job with them. They're 4-1. It's a big region game. They're undefeated region, just like we are. So I know they'll be excited. We played them in the semifinals here last year and beat them. So I'm sure they'll probably come in with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. So, but I'm quite sure our kids will be up for the challenge.
Absolutely. Offensively, they run a spread attack, multiple formations. Probably nothing we haven't seen yet this year. For our defense, what's the thing that we've just got to keep rolling on just to kind of keep this ball going toward the end of the season? Yeah,
well, their quarterback spins the ball really well, and they got a few athletes that can make plays if we're not in the right position defensively. So that's been the focus this week. I think we'll be ready.
Absolutely. Coach, a couple of announcements. We have a gun raffle going on with our school and our football team. If you want a ticket, please see one of our football players or one of our coaches. They're $20 a ticket. We'll be raffling off on November the 9th. 4 guns, 1 per quarter. So please see that. And then we have Lakeside coming in this Friday night at 7 o'clock. Coach, let's hope we have a good turnout. Let's get the victory.
Sounds good.
All right. That's Coach Bobby Carr with the Autauga Football Review.